Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and this is yet another weekly edition of Dog Behavior Q&A. We are on episode 79, so we have 79 of these videos of people coming in, asking questions, and me helping them out to the best of my ability. Um, don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you like. Here's the deal. Okay. After 7 p.m., we don't go longer than an hour most of the time. So if you're watching this after 7 p.m., then we are no longer live. So don't ask questions after. Or actually, go ahead, ask your question. We'll try to answer it, but we can't answer it live. So after 7 p.m., we are no longer live. All right. Also, we head over to YouTube. And if YouTube goes down, head over to our Facebook. It's all the same, Majors Academy Dog Training and Rehabilitation. What up on the road? What do you mean, bud? Um, we are, if you mean San Diego, we are planning on coming from the 1st through the 9th, I believe, to San Diego. So we do have a seminar set up out there. Uh, I'd like to at least meet you, man, and chat at the very least. All right. I think that's all that we have. Um, oh, I should say for my local people that we are having a pack walk this Saturday, um, and depending on the weather, um, obviously depending on the weather, but it will be at 9 a.m. Don't forget your all your tools. Okay, I want you to bring prong collars, e-collars, doggy don'ts, and make sure no dogs meet on leash. Okay, just because the first, few pack walks when dogs haven't been out for a while and they've got those cobwebs, sometimes tensions can be high. So very important that we're being proactive with our dogs. All right, let's get to some questions. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Uh, On- Onita, was such a good boy till we got home. Peed in the house like 10 times. Once lifting his leg and peeing directly on Daisy's head, one of our other dogs. Tomorrow, when I'm back at work, he won't pee inside once. So why does he think it's okay when I'm home? What can I do to change this behavior? All right, what you want to do to change the behavior is make sure he pees outside, and then once he comes back inside, make sure you give him something to do. Okay, make sure you're cleaning those spots that he does pee very, 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 very thoroughly. But do not let him have too much freedom in the house if he decides to do anything you don't like, which includes peeing. So let him out, let him pee and poop outside for a while. When he comes back inside, um, give him something to do or keep him on leash. But don't let him sniff around and just watch your dog. If the dog peed 10 times, that means you're just not watching your dog. Um, so watch your dog, and he should be able to just pee outside and get all that good stuff out and not have to pee when he gets inside. All right. Thank you for your question. You guys, too, feel free to ask as many questions as you like. We can start a conversation. I'm willing to bet your question can help multiple people. That's what's cool about this, is that when you ask any question that you have, somebody's probably more than likely going to be struggling with the same things. Somebody out there is struggling with the same thing you're struggling with. So please ask questions, so that you can not only get some helpful tips for you, but also help someone else. That's the point of this. All right, next question. Thank you, Renee. Um, all right, my sweet Dixon, who you may remember, is doing so good since you last saw him. I forgot he had aggression issues. Until it comes to our cats and vets, we are stumped at a complete sadden point where we don't know how to treat that. The vet issue is getting better. We muzzle him. He gets lots of love. Sometimes he trips. Uh, Sometimes the trips are just to say hi. We bought toy medical instruments, so he got used to them when he got to when he got home. So when they touch him, would reduce the flinching. But he's still pretty jumpy. Our biggest issue is with our poor cats. They are pretty much confined to the rooms behind the gates until he goes into the kennel. If the cats get brave and try to make a run for it, he runs for them. Not in a curious, playful way like my dog, but in a very aggressive way. He has cornered them a couple of times, and once he was lucky enough, he didn't lose an eye. Uh, Once he was lucky, he didn't lose an eye. He has a tiny scar next to his right eye now. Any ideas? Yeah, I would give him a substantially high correction with the e-collar when he decides to get aggressive with your cats. He simply has to know that that's not a good idea. Cheers, Burnett. He simply has to learn that that is not a good idea. And sometimes it takes some sort of come to Jesus meeting for the dog in order for him to rethink his actions. Okay, I definitely know and remember Dixon. He was one of our toughest cases when it comes to touch. So I am also very proud that you guys are even able to take him to the vet. That shows that you have been working with him very well. Um, but as far as, and he's also very bratty, very pretentious. So I would just, like I said, give him a high correction with the e-collar, and also use your voice as well, so that he knows that that is a big boundary, that you cannot chase the cats like that. All right. The cats also need to know that you can control the dog. Once the dog, once the cats start to realize that you can control the dog, the cats will start to be more brave and not run every time the dog stands up or even looks like it's going to go chase the cats, which is very important because the cats then start to learn how to stand their own ground. And then you don't have to be there for the cats every now and every time, every single time, because the cats again know how to stand their ground. The dog only chases because the cats will run. All right. So if you can give that dog a high correction, and give those and empower the cats, right? Then that helps with the whole overall situation. The cats start to learn to stand up for themselves, which is what they need to do in general. Stop running and stand up for themselves. All right. Thank you for your question. And I miss Dixon. I hope he's doing well. Okay. Got a question on YouTube. Our 6-month-old Roddy seems to eat really fast, gulping down his food, barely chewing. He'll sometimes throw up after unchewed kibble. How can we make him slow down and chew? Okay, so there's a couple of real quick things that you can do. They have bowls at PetSmart that'll make the dog slow down its eating. And it just has a bowl with like crazy designs in it made out of plastic, so the dog really literally had to kind of pick individually at his food. That'll help. Or you can, there's a lot of people who feed their dogs on just flat surfaces, right? You know, outside on concrete, in the grass, or on a crate tray. The dog I literally can't eat fast if you just spread it out. You can even put it on a cookie sheet if you like. Hey Pat, how are you? You can put it on a cookie sheet if you like, and the dog literally can't eat more than 3 or 4 at a time. So those are a couple things you can do. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay. Got a question. Hello from South Africa. I've been watching a few behavioral clips from different trainers, and I've got to say you are a really incredible trainer. You're just calm and relaxed. I have a question. We adopted the most beautiful pit bull mix, Staffy, 3 months ago. We are not entirely sure if she was used for fighting or was bait dog, but her her scared body and face tells a story of trauma. She is the only dog in our household, but we would like to get her socialized and know that interactions do not have to be violent. Right now, she has one friend, Ziggy, a golden retriever. He kind of ignores her and doesn't pay much attention, but he gets excited when she sees him and licks him and just wants to play. It is stupid to have her close to another dog. Is it stupid to have her close to another dog so soon? We've tried to introduce her to another dog on both occasions. When the dog came close, she latched on. I know it'll take time, but do you think with her past, she'll be able to make friends and socialize? She loves people, and we have seen absolutely no aggression towards humans. Okie dokie, so check this out. All right, so there's two different issues here, and I think people tend to put them together, and we really want to separate that. So let me unpack that for a second. So first of all, an aggressive dog, a dog aggressive dog. Okay, if the dog gets along with one dog, if the dog has one friend, okay, we can no longer say that dog is dog aggressive. Okay, just because the dog doesn't get along with dogs it doesn't know doesn't make it particularly dog aggressive. Just makes it not very social. And so, if the dog has shown to get along with other dogs, then the dog has the ability to get along with other dogs given enough time. And so, um, that's going to be your biggest bet. Okay, I can get any dog to get along with any dog if I have enough time. Doesn't matter how bad they how fearful they are, how blah 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 dog aggressive they are. I always tell people, okay, your dog does get along with one other dog. It doesn't matter. Then your dog does not. It doesn't have something against dogs as a race. You know what I'm saying? It's not racist against dogs. You know, so um, we that gives you hope right there that the dog does have the ability and enjoys. If it's a friend, then it can enjoy other dogs. It just has to have take. It just takes time in order to in order for the dog to realize that. But you can be the person who facilitates the success on getting that dog to accept other dogs. First and foremost, I'll just go through it real quick because I can talk about this all day long. But I've got a lot of videos that will go step by step. And I have a lot of unedited videos on how I take a very dog aggressive dog and get them along with three other dogs. It's a long video, but I have a couple of those videos that will explain step by step what to do, what to look for, and things like that on how to introduce a dog aggressive dog to strange dogs and have success, guaranteed success if you follow what I've set out. Okay, so yeah. So that being said, I would again. So two factors, right? You have to be in control, and the dog, which means you have to be in control of the strange dog. If you can be in control of the strange dog, and here's the other deal. You know, you don't want to socialize your dog just with any dog because every dog isn't going to be properly socialized. There are going to be dogs who are super shy, and then there are going to be dogs who are overly, crazy. You want to keep your dogs away from that no matter how good they are. Okay, so balanced dogs, try and see if you can get balanced, calm dogs. Those are going to be the gateway to getting along with the more, difficult personalities, whether it be a fearful dog or just an overly, high energy dog like a lab or something. So yeah, thank you for your question, and feel free to ask another one. I'm glad I can help you, all the way from South Africa. All right, we got another question on Facebook. Let's see. Okay, this question is for. Wait, where'd it go? Oh. I thought I had a question from somebody else, but maybe not. Okay. All right, here we go. Another question from YouTube. Sometimes at the end of the walk, our dog telling him he was a good boy sets him off. Starts biting the leash, tugging. Could we inadvertently create a trigger with praising? Man, that's a great question. Yes, you could actually create a trigger. So stop doing it. He's not a good boy until he stops doing that. Or, here's the deal. A lot of people undermine the intelligence of their dog by giving them a good boy or too much praise way too soon. Let the dog really, really become very, very calm and indifferent to what you're trying to teach the dog. Then you can say good boy. But it still shouldn't be a celebration. This traditional training of, oh, let's sit for 2 seconds and then praise him, that's so dumb. It's really undermining your dog's intelligence. Like, your dog has so much more ability than that. You know, um, let's sit down, stay. So you're creating when you're doing that, you're just creating a dog that only does it for 1 second or 2 second, and then the popular training would say give him a treat every time he does that. How dumb do you think dogs are, man? I mean, ah, it's really annoying when I teach dogs. Yes, it's very good that you have gone out, and I'm not blaming at all any owners because there's a lot of bad training out there, but um, when your approach is to ignore the dog while it's doing the bad behavior, and then when it stops, then treat the dog. Um, you're only creating a really, really backwards way of thinking. And again, those trainers have not. This is the difference. These trainers have not stayed or stuck with something long enough to see the entire thinking process of a dog, the whole side. They always stop very short, like right here. So I like to see the dog's whole thought process of letting him get impatient, letting the dog get impatient before I get impatient, letting the dog get impatient, and then even guiding him after his impatience or guiding him after his refusal to create reliability. Okay, that's the only way to create reliability. The dog has to say, all right, I'm all right, all right, I'm done with this. Let's do something else. And then learns that it's like, no, you still got to do this. Like, lay down. You still got to do this. Oh, okay. Then you can start saying good boy. But almost everybody that comes to me, they put their dog in the sit right away. Good boy. Gets back up. Put him down in the sit. Good boy. Gets right back up. Put him in a sit. Good boy. Get right. And it's just like, don't say good boy until he actually does it and stays there like you want him to do, like you want him to stay. Okay, sorry, little rant. I got some questions I got to answer. Okay, where are we at? Where are we at? Come on now. It's taking forever to load. Here we go. All right, let's check it out. Okay, question. Let's see. I'm gonna try and get it in the answer that I got it. It doesn't matter. All right, I'm gonna just start from the bottom and go up. Okay. How do you stop chewing on objects? My table legs and all corners are chewed up. I figured my puppy is just bored, so we go for walks, and I'll give him some hard rubber toys, but he still come back and chew, chew, chew. Okay. So you're going to have to watch him, and you're going to have to tell him no. But um, obviously, I know that you're giving him, you got him toys and all that good stuff, but he's just going to have to learn really right from wrong. The more you can pay attention to him, the better. If you can't pay attention to him the way that you want, give him something to do, like put him in his crate or put him on his bed. Okay. And if you're talking about your dog, we'll go over all of that when you come and pick him up. But if you can't really watch him, uh, you know, then he has to either be doing something, or he's in the crate, or he's outside. But you can't just be in the kitchen cooking and allow him to just hang out. He's way too young for that. If you're talking about the dog that I have in my training right now. Okay, thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. All right. Hey, Jeremy, what's the best way to protect my dogs? I am walking on leash from loose dogs getting to them. Are there any tools you suggest? I was training a reactive shepherd at the park, and two barking dogs jumped out of someone's car and came right for us. I held my dogs behind me while screaming at the two dogs, and luckily, a person passing by managed to get them before contact was made. You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, because I also wanted to address to do if your dog is attacked, because I did have a past client of mine dog get attacked on leash 2 or 3 days ago, and she had just finished training the dog's butt, and it was a bad situation. So I'll talk about that. All right, so tools that I use. Um, Anything that works, and anything that works. Anything's better than having dogs get into fights and biting you, biting the dogs, it being a bloody mess. Anything's better than that. So, the number one tool that I use that I've had success with is the doggy don't. Okay, if you don't know what that is, just Google it. Doggy don't, literally doggy don't. Second one is pet convincer. Okay, Mama, hey. Um, and the third would be you can have a, I don't know, you can do have a water bottle, walking stick, whatever it takes. It's a tough situation. You can never totally keep your pack 100% safe, but the doggy don't has been is my number one tool, and it just makes a loud noise that sounds like a taser, but it's just a sound. All right. So if you don't have that, I would check that out and try that out. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay, what's the best way to introduce prong collars for training? I currently use a gentle leader for my 130-pound lab mastiff on walks. I have a video on how to introduce that, but I'll go ahead and explain it to you. So first and foremost, you want to make sure if the dog is 130 pounds, I'd go ahead and get a I think it's 3.8 millimeter Herm Springer prong collar. If you already have one, don't worry about it. But if you have one, then make sure it's snug and it doesn't fit like jewelry. You know what I mean? Make sure it can sit as high up on the neck as possible. It's going to make it easier on the dog and easier on you. And then when you introduce it to them, just kind of walk in your driveway, or you can even do it in your house, and just kind of walk around and use a lot of voice if he's resistant and stubborn, but just walk kind of in circles or back and forth like this, and use your voice if you need more convincing. And the most important thing, if your dog is very sensitive, is to always make things clear to him. And the best way to make things clear to him is to work towards loose leash walking. So, for example, if you're walking him and then there's tension that starts, like maybe he's dragging and he's resisting. So you're here, he's here. You're walking this way, he's kind of pulling back. You stay there. Don't move until he gives in to you. Once he gives in to you, you say good boy, and then you take some, right? And so he will eventually say, all right, I got to give in to this because she's not going to give in, or he's not going to give in to me resisting. But if you give in to his resistance, he's just going to resist more, and he'll be able to dictate. But if you can just walk. Yeah, and sometimes if it gets tricky, it's only tricky if the dog is sensitive or uh, and sensitive and stubborn. But basically, for the majority of the dogs, they're not that stubborn and they're not that sensitive. I would just walk and praise when you feel slack on the leash, right? The leash you feel very dangling. Um, Make sure that you're just keeping him by your side. But that's a good way to do it. Uh oh. Can you guys hear me? Someone said I lost. They lost volume. Oh boy. How do I pause that? I can't. It's live. All right. Question. Well, I want to make sure they can hear me first. Can you hear me? Put up the volume, Melissa. I guess I can do it on my laptop. Hello, hello. Okay, someone says they can hear me. All right, people can hear me. All right, so I'll go on to the next question. Okay, I'm gonna answer your question. I have a very mild-tempered pit bull puppy. Man, I'm getting a lot of pit bull questions lately. I have a very mild-tempered pit bull puppy, which is fine, but I really like. He will grow up to be. I really feel like he will grow up to be soft and unprotective, like my Great Dane that I didn't raise. My question is, how do I prepare him to be protective but still be social, or is there no balance? There is a balance, but it does depend on the temperament of your dog. Um, you can have a social dog, a somewhat social dog that is protective, and then you can have a very protective dog that's not social, or you can have an overly social dog that's not protective. Um, and I would say the social dogs can't learn how to protect, and I would say the protective dogs though can learn how to be protective or social. No, I would say the protective dogs can learn to be social under your guidance. So I have a pit bull who is protective, but social under my guidance. If I didn't have the guidance, if she wasn't under my sort of leadership, she would not be very social. um, and so it's sort of like give and take. If she doesn't, and it depends again how either the dog is young. Once the dog gets to 10 months, 13 months, whatever it is, the dog can and may change. So it's not totally uh, conducive. The dog's temperament as of now is not totally going to be foretelling on how the temperament going to be moving forward, because they do go through significant changes. Some do, and so I'd stay patient, and see what you get. All right. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. All right, I think I'm caught up. Is it best for dogs to meet on leash or off leash? I would say it's best to meet dogs, or for dogs to meet off their territory, and depends on the dog. So sorry I can't give you a better situation, but I would say more times than not, if you know that the dogs are social, off leash is better than on leash. But really social dogs can meet on leash, meet off leash, doesn't matter. Um, but dogs who have nerves on leash do better off leash. Yeah, because there are really social dogs off leash. When they get on leash, they become not social. So um, it really depends on the dog. Okie dokie. Let's see. I think I got a few more questions here. You guys, make sure you know that we are also uh, live on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube. So if you can't hear me for some reason on Facebook, if the Facebook goes down, please head over to YouTube. We are live there as well. Okay, here we go. Back at it. Thank you for making this video. My fiance got his dog when he was 6 months old on Craigslist, and now him and his parents blame that she was abused or uh, abused on her bad behavior. There's been times when she's lashed out at me when we were just playing. She attacks the lawnmower, and if she sees someone walking down the road, she goes nuts. Same with someone rings the doorbell, she goes into attack mode. I can show him this video and told you what they said. They just don't correct her behavior in ways. They promote it by calling her and petting her. That is correct. So I guess this is not more of a statement. After she's watched a video of mine, this is more of a question is more of a statement. But yes, yeah, you can really reinforce dogs' behavior and not even know it. For uh, oh man, I've always been trying to figure out this word that I want to say, but I can't figure it out. Superficial. That's it. You can literally reinforce a dog bad behavior for superficial reasons, like them being cute or you feeling guilty that you've been gone for so long. Those are probably one of the top two things why we allow dogs to do the things that they do. We've been gone so long, we feel guilty that they've maybe been in the house for so long or they've been in the crate for so long, so we allow dogs to do what they want to do. We get them out right away because we feel bad. We've done just right there. We've done a whole bunch of bad stuff, or reinforced a lot of bad behavior, and then letting the dog do what it wants because it's cute. That also is reinforcing the wrong mindset that you want. The dog thinks, I get what I want, and all I got to do is be a little pushy, or be more pushy than you, and I can get what I want. And so you really have to evaluate how much. So I just got a call today, the pit of a pit bull that charging the door. No, not charging the door, just biting guests when they come over, being protective. Okay, that's that's the outstanding issue, but the bigger issue is what boundaries are set within the household, or the lack of boundaries that are set in the household. Like, how much affection does the dog get for no reason? How much couch time does the dog get? How much bedtime does the dog get? How many choices is that young dog free to make on a day-to-day basis? Because you can't expect the dog to listen in one area where it has 90% of the time freedom of how to act however it wants. Now it's going to go ahead and take the 100%. It's not going to take into account that this one area you need to listen. In all other areas, I can do what I want. Nope, doesn't work like that. Not with dogs. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. They're going to take that 100% and see if they can do what they want 100% of the time. So it's 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 all about evaluating how much you are allowing your dog to get away with in the small things, and that's going to really help when it comes to when you want them to listen to you in the long term, or in the wherever it matters the most. Okay. All right. Hold on a second. Got some questions coming in. Get away from me. Okay, here we go. I understand dogs' sense of smell are strong, as well as some dogs have a even stronger sense. I have amazingly smart dogs. Most are. And my gut says that he would get satisfaction from some type of exercise involving this strong sense of smell. I have done some hide and seek play with him in home, and it was too easy. Any suggestions? Yeah, this is something that we do with like police dogs, or uh, what they call Schutz and sport dogs. But if you have some time, then go ahead and take his food, put it in a bowl, and keep him inside while you're doing this. But you're going to lay a track for him, right? And so what you're going to do is go outside and in the grass, you're going to um, start putting food in, uh, or you're going to step and then put a piece of food right where you step, and then step again and do the same thing. Repeat it for about 30 or 40 steps. Every step you put one piece of kibble in there, and at the end of the track you put the rest of the food in there, um, so that he has to find his food. But he's going to start to learn that your scent is where food is, and he's going to start doing this. Boom. But you have to put him on leash, and you're going to have to keep that leash tight so he doesn't overshoot, because he may get too excited. But um, you're going to have to remember where your track is. Sometimes they can get lost, but you have to again keep the dog on leash and point, show the dog where that that first few pieces of food are, here, here, and here, until he gets it in his mind that the smell associated with the food reward. And then over time he'll start knowing, all right, let me find this scent, because this is where the food is. And then you can make the tracks longer, you can start doing turns. I mean, sky's the limit, and it's a really good mental exercise for him, for the dog. But but yeah, I used to do that with my dogs all the time. It's awesome. It's called tracking, but that's how they teach the police dogs to track people. Ground scent tracking, not air scent. Thanks for your question. You're welcome. Okay, would you say that allowing dogs on the bed or couch is not a good idea? Not if you're dealing with any sort of aggression. No. Not if you're dealing with any sort of bad behavior in the house. Wherever there's bad behavior, you have to add more structure. That means off the bed and off the couch right away. Okay, the dog will start to listen to you more if you can eliminate that today, right away. He will start listening to you more. Okay, try that, and and see what you get. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. All right, working along with with rescue groups receiving lots of fearful and feral dogs in foster, particularly with men. Can you go over your ways of getting them comfortable with men as their jeez. Can you go over ways of getting them comfortable with men as their caretaker? I'm an advocate for not forcing yourself on the dog and babying, petting, etc. And I would love for you to give your take. A few fosters are watching now. Yeah, so, all right. So it's not, although men happen to be what is the issue, it's more so the size. Okay, dogs are sensitive to size. There are some dogs who, by their by the scent of their pee, can know the size of an animal. For example, um, there are there's this guy who breeds Dachshunds to deer track or bear track. Some Dachshunds, and this is how they test them, but they test the Dachshunds on how brave they are by um, if they will track bears or not. Some will actually not track if they're intimidated of bears, um, after they smell the bear, usually their urine or their droppings. But once they know it's a bear, they won't track. Okay, so size matters, but it doesn't necessarily mean gender. Okay. Um, but that being said, anything and everything happens through the person that's working with the dog. So anybody who's comfortable and has the trust of the dog, that should be the guidance or the guide to getting the dog to be more open to accepting any and all things that aren't going to cause the dog harm. And so when I am introducing dogs to people, the number one thing that I say to the people is obviously act like the dog's not here. Because most of the time, when dogs mind, it's because we are minding that they're actually present. And so don't be disappointed that the dog doesn't go up and the man doesn't get to pet the first session. That shouldn't be the goal. Okay. The goal of the first session, if you do have a dog who's very fearful of men, is that nothing bad happens and the dog actually can get to some sort of calm state before you leave the situation. Um, so I've got a Great Dane and I've got a Malinois that I am introducing to people, and they have fear of people, and so I've going to be making some video on how I've got it all on video, and I'm making some video on how to introduce fearful dogs to strangers, because it's something that takes time, but more so than anything else, the dog has to be able to trust the person that has the leash, and not just trust, but also listen. Okay, because through listening, trust can facilitate. Through listening. So I always tell people, it's not my goal to be friends with the dogs that train with me, although it always ends up happening. My goal is to provide structure and make the dog listen, which then brings about trust and friendship. But structure and the ability to listen is the number one priority. So take your time, end on a positive note. Doing all that, just let the dog become curious. Obviously, take control, which means, um, the man's here and the dog's here, and you make the dog sit for 5 minutes and talk to the owner or the man, and then see if the dog becomes curious. The dog will start going, as opposed to, hackles up, wide eyes, and barking. If you can control those first few minutes, you'll start to see that curious dog that kind of sniffs and says, "Who the heck are you?" And then I think I've got a video out now, but I do have a certain technique that the man should do. Um, the man should be sitting down first and foremost, um, not standing up, not moving around, just sitting down, and but not moving either, and not obviously staring at the dog, but just acting like the dog's not there. You two have a conversation, so the dog gets a lot more relaxed in that situation. And then if the dog wants to calmly come up to the man after 5 minutes of good control, then I'll let the dog come up and sniff for only 3 to 5 seconds, and then I'm bringing the dog back, and that was a good one for another 2 minutes. And then if the dog is relaxed and the everything else is relaxed, and the dog wants to again go up calmly with soft eyes and tail wagging maybe, then I'll allow the dog to go back up to the human, something like that. So um, it can be a process for some dogs, and I'm only talking about the most extreme dog because um, I tend to think that way. You'll have some dogs you don't have to even go through what I'm talking about, but in order to ensure safety of the dog, the man, everyone else involved, if you do what I say, then those things will happen. So, thank you for your question. All right. right. Let's see if we've got some more questions on Facebook. Let's see. Why do many trainers books people say start training at 3 and 4 months? Some even say 6 months. I don't know. I think explained this the last time, but training again. So we gotta. I think we gotta maybe broaden the definition of what training is. Every interaction with your dog, you're training your dog, no matter what. If you're petting your dog, you're training it. If you're not petting your dog, you're still training it. All of it's training. All of it. It's not training. It's not like, oh, we forgot to do training today. No, you did it all day. Whether you sat on your butt or you were very active, you still trained. Because it's behavior, and behavior doesn't shut off. You can't say, all right, behavior's done for the day. No, it doesn't work like that. Behavior is always on. And so you're always training. Every interaction you can get better, stay the same, or get worse. And so when you bring that puppy home, no matter how young, because dogs can learn very, very young, you're either training or you're not. Well, no, you're always training. You're not training. So you're always training. So if you can keep that sort of mindset, you'll start to not allow certain behaviors to go on. And you'll make for a better dog in general. So I hope that makes sense. All right. Will it be like that forever with... Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay. Will it be like that forever with the dog, or will they adapt? Adapt to what? I'm sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. But yeah, I definitely went over that extensively in my last podcast, or in my last show. That it doesn't matter if the dog's 7 weeks old. Um, will it be? Oh, the introductions? No, it won't. It won't be like that forever. I can. I have two dogs that were human aggressive, and it always gets better uh, if they know that they can trust you. Then the leashes go away, the e-collars go away. Your voice is still there, but even that can go away because they'll start to look forward to what doesn't harm them. They're not going to try and cause harm to something that they know clearly doesn't cause harm to them. But it's our job to show them that you don't have to feel like this, or you cannot act like this. So there's two sides of the coin. But thank you for your question. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. But I appreciate you guys watching. We'll be back next Thursday for our next show, show number 80. And come with your questions or conversation. We love them both. And give me a thumbs up if you liked it, if it was informative. I appreciate it. Tell your mama, tell your pops, tell your friends about it. Let them know if they have dogs and they just want to conversate. Then they can come conversate. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.